Hello, friend, and welcome back to Where in the USA is Carmen, Sandiego? Scotty Euclid here. I've got my Fodor's USA book, and we're about to start a new case. Completing this case will promote me to the next rank. So here we go. Newsflash. Charleston, West Virginia. The entire year's production of marbles stolen by masked male. Okie doke. Your assignment: track the thief from Charleston, West Virginia to his hideout and arrest him. You must apprehend the thief by Friday, 6 p.m. Good luck, Inspector Scotty, the Chief. West Virginia was once a part of Virginia. It broke away and was admitted to the Union as a separate state during the Civil War. That's true. True story. He was writing an article about the origins of the Ringling Brothers Circus. He was carrying a rope. So his hobby then, spelunking? I guess you would use a rope for spelunking. That's cave exploration. Okay, Titus can be and can hardly read. And the Ringling Brothers was our hint. Let's try this one after we get a nap. He wanted to know the quickest route to Little Norway. He had a Scarlatti tape. I do not know what Scarlatti is. Do you mind if I look that up quick? I'm going to look that up quick. We're all going to learn something together here. It's a lot easier when you have the internet. You know, back in the day, you didn't have the internet to look these things up. Appears to be a classical composer, I would say. Yeah, classical style. So we're going to say it's classical music. Little Norway. Oh, still the same suspects. Okay. Little Norway, Ringling Brothers. He wanted to go, well, this is just a gimme now for me. He wanted to go to the Green Bay Packers state. He was eating sashimi. Sashimi is seafood, I believe. No, still don't know him. Okay. But the Green Bay Packers, growing up in Wisconsin, yeah, I know exactly where we're going. Welcome to Wisconsin, the Badger State. Oh, really? Cows? No, that's about right. Okay. Wisconsin is where the Ringling Brothers Circus began in 1884. I was pretty sure that was right. Visitors can learn about early circus days. Yeah, the Circus World Museum in Baraboo, Wisconsin. Never been there, but I've certainly heard of it. And there are a lot of cows in Wisconsin. This is true. All right, here we go. He was writing a novel set in the Twin Cities. Oh, we're not going far at all, are we? He had bat guano on his shoes. He is a spelunker, but we've already entered that in. The Twin Cities. Yeah, we're not going far. He said he wanted to see the home of novelist F. Scott Fitzgerald. He had mouse-colored hair, which I assume... Now, did we figure that out? Was that brown hair? Mouse-colored or gray? Mice can be gray, right? I don't know. Mouse-colored hair. We'll remember that. F. Scott Fitzgerald, by the way, made his residency in St. Paul. He wanted to follow the path of early explorers along the Grand Portage Trail, which I think is in northern Minnesota. Minneapolis is where we're at. Mouse hair. See, not far at all. In fact, I think you can just take Interstate 94 and it'll take you right there. Capital of Minnesota is St. Paul, which is separated from Minneapolis by the Mississippi River. The two are called the Twin Cities. The library. He said he was writing a history of Gila Bend, or Gila Bend, like Gila Monster. Gila Bend, Gila Mend. He wanted to know the quickest route to Tombstone. He was eating sashimi. We knew that. Tombstone. He asked if Nogales was too hot for jogging. We're going to Phoenix in Arizona. Welcome to Arizona, the Grand Canyon State. Arizona was once a part of Mexico. It was ceded to the U.S. in 1848 at the end of the Mexican War. It became a territory in 1863 and a state in 1912. And it was probably 135 degrees there today. As I'm recording this, he asked for a book on the history of Martha's Vineyard. We saw this in the previous video, I believe. So we know where to go, but we're still learning about our crook here. mouse-colored hair. He wanted to visit the church where America was first sung. He wanted to know if he could practice with the Harvard rowing team. He had the Scarletti tape, which we knew. We're going to Boston in Massachusetts. Martha's Vineyards in Massachusetts. Here we go. Library. I heart crime. Love the shirt. All right. He wanted to know which state touches 4 of the 5 Great Lakes. Ooh, I know. Visitor Center, he asked about boating on Saginaw Bay. And at the athletic club, he planned to backpack in the Upper Peninsula. All that points to Michigan. We're going back to Detroit. Yeah, it touches 4 of the 5. I think it's Ontario. Or is it Erie? One of those. It's one of those two it doesn't touch. The Sault Ste. Marie Canal and locks link Lake Huron and Lake Superior, allowing ships carrying lumber, grain, and iron ore to pass through. Yeah, very important part of the place where I grew up. A lot of iron ore in northern Minnesota. Comes out of Duluth. He said he was doing research on the history of Mount Desert Island. He practiced slam dunks in the wastebasket. He likes to play basketball. Oh, good. Okay, Ken Hartley. Let's figure out the mousy thing, okay? To me, mousy is brown. Okay, now we know for the future. I have completely forgotten what the clue was at the library. He wanted a map showing areas west of New Brunswick, Canada. He asked about nature tours in Acadia National Park. All of that is pointing to Maine. Augusta, Maine. Okay, and we've got our crook. 90% of Maine is covered by forests. Its factories produce many wood products, including more than 125 million toothpicks a day. Now you know. We're still on the right track here. He said he was doing research for a murder mystery set in Aspen. Well, we're going to Colorado. Aspen is west of Denver. A couple hours. Yeah, Aspen. I've been to Aspen once. We drove through there, my wife and I. It's a very nice place. Tucked in. We're at the end of the road for this case here. To the Auto Club. This time it was the Sports Center or whatever it's called. Sports Center. Na-na-na. Let's capture that crook. I think it was Ken Hartley Reid. Was that our guy? Thanks to your help, the police have apprehended Ken Hartley Reid and returned the stolen goods to the grateful residents of Charleston, West Virginia. Right, the marbles, right? We here at Acme thank you for your good work on this case, and I've earned a promotion, but I have one more clue to unravel, so I gotta get out the old Folders U.S.A. Broderbund edition. The answer to this question was the last bold-faced word at the bottom of page 357. Why do I get a feeling we've been asked this twice already? 357. Oh no, this will be different. By the way, I don't know if you can hear that. Paging through the book here. Last bold-faced word at the bottom of page 357. Last bold-faced word is the word Washington. There you go. I'm a senior inspector now. That was in the Washington, D.C. section, if you're interested. Apparently there's a hotel called the Washington. That's what it was in reference to. So there you go. And there's another case down. We're now a senior inspector, and we're on to our next case. It'll take just a moment for the next case to load up here. Hope you're having a great day. I'm glad you're joining me here for Where in the USA is Carmen Sandiego. We've got a couple other Carmen Sandiego games in the backlog, but until we complete this one, they'll have to stay there. We're going to kind of go in approximate order of when they were released. Newsflash from San Antonio, Texas. The Yellow Rose of Texas was stolen by a masked female. I think there's a song called The Yellow Rose of Texas, and I think I butchered the hell out of the first line there. Track the thief and arrest her. She must be apprehended by Sunday, 10 p.m. Here we go. Welcome to Texas, the Lone Star State. Northwest Texas is known as the Panhandle. It was here that the song Home on the Range was composed in 1878 by a group of cowboys. My family and I drove through the Panhandle earlier this summer. It is, it's interesting. She was writing a biography of Ben Franklin. There's not a lot in the Panhandle, I think, is what we learned. Surprisingly, there's not a lot. A lot of real small towns that dot along the Panhandle there. She asked for a map of the Poconos. She had a David Bowie tape. She had David Bowie, which is rock and or roll. Wendy Popper, Gypsy Rose Lasagna. Ben Franklin, the Poconos. She went to kayak on the Schuylkill River. All of that relates to Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. I think the Schuylkill River flows through Pennsylvania. Or flows through Philadelphia, rather, is what I meant to say. Independence Hall, I've been there. I've actually seen that building in person. It's a lot smaller in real life. It kind of surprised me a little bit. But very famous historical building in the history of the United States. Here we go. She was doing research on early French settlers around Pascagoula. I'm sorry if you're from there and I've butchered the name of that city. She wanted to know if there was train service from Tupelo to Hattiesburg. And finally, she was planning to bicycle the Vicksburg National Military Park. She had hair as dark as midnight. It means it was black hair. Is that enough? We got a warrant. Gypsy Rose Lasagna is back at it again. And we are going to Mississippi. Jackson, Mississippi. Tupelo is a famous city in Mississippi. I think that's where Elvis was born or something. Okay. To Jackson, Mississippi's Historical Society. There's our guy with the watches again. She was researching the history of the iron and steel industry in the United States. Let me see what the places are. Ohio, Atlanta. It must be Ohio then. I think we saw that as a clue earlier. But the Cuyahoga River, yeah, that's Columbus. Yeah, since we have our suspect, we're going right to the end. We're going to try anyway, as quickly as we can. Got lucky with the clues this time. She said she was doing research on the oldest city in the United States. Yeah, that's going to be St. Augustine, Florida, so Miami. Florida produces 3/4 of the oranges and grapefruit grown in the United States. It's also the nation's largest supplier of natural sponges. Just don't get them mixed up when you're eating breakfast. Oh, me and my wacky quips. Here we go. She asked for information about a state known as the home of the Indians. She was noshing on nachos. Home of the Indians is Oklahoma, I believe. Yeah, Tulsa. Native Americans, of course. Well, that picture certainly helps. Many Native American tribes driven from their homelands were forced to settle in Oklahoma in the early 1800s. Today, the state is home to 67 tribes. So, yeah. A sad moment in U.S. history. It really is. Then they had to live in Oklahoma. It's called Indian Territory back in the day. She asked for a book on the geology of the Bitterroot Mountains. Oh, we're going to an obscure New England state again. She said she wanted to visit a state with more than 20 million acres of national forest land. Maybe not. She asked about hunting near Ketchum. Oh, we're not going to New England. About as far away from it as Ketchum. I want to say is. Oh, it's not Ketchum. Is that Boise? Ketchum. I think it's Boise. Ketchum, Idaho, I believe, is a city. Well, it is a city, but I think that's the city they want. Ketchum, Idaho. That was right. Ketchum, Idaho. She said she was writing an article on the peanut industry. We're going to the southeast, probably Atlanta. Jimmy Carter, former president, was a peanut farmer in Georgia. So, makes sense. Georgia's Okefenokee Swamp is the largest freshwater swamp in the U.S. 300 species of wildlife live in its 681 square miles. All right, we're still on the right track. Crazy skateboarding guy. She asked about the migration routes of ducks and geese. Pretty generic. Tourist Bureau, please. She asked about the road conditions in the Badlands. That does it right there. The Badlands are in North Dakota. Bismarck, western North Dakota. Very pretty scenery. Teddy Roosevelt spent a lot of time up there. Found a lot of oil there about a decade ago. Bismarck is the capital of North Dakota. The 18-story capital is called the skyscraper of the prairies. Probably not pictured, though. There we go. Okay, we're at the end of the case now. Sorry I went so loudly, but I'm excited we reached the end here. Making good time on this case, too. All right, to the athletic club. Let's capture whoever it is we got the warrant for. There we go. It was Gypsy Rose Lasagna, wasn't it? Wasn't that her name? There she is. Gypsy Rose Lasagna. Thanks to your help, the police have apprehended Gypsy Rose Lasagna and returned the stolen goods to the grateful residents of San Antonio. We here at Acme thank you for your good work on this case. Your success will be noted on your record. 3 more cases until your next promotion. All right, we got time for one more case. It'll take just a moment to load. I hope you're playing along with me, too. You're seeing the clues. Can you get them faster than I can? Maybe. Especially if you live in parts of the country I don't know as well as the parts that I've lived in. All right, we've been identified. Our current rank is Senior Inspector. Newsflash. Little Rock, Arkansas. Thermostat from Arkansas Hot Springs, stolen by masked female. Acme News. Your assignment is to track the thief from Little Rock to her hideout and arrest her. You must apprehend the thief by Tuesday, 10 a.m. Good luck, Senior Inspector Scotty Euclid. Welcome to Arkansas, the land of opportunity. Arkansas is the largest producer of bauxite or aluminum ore in the United States. Okay, then. She wanted information about the original Dutch settlement of Holland. She had bat guano on her shoes. And we narrow it down to 2. Oh, the Vanderbilts again, or maybe it's BBD O'Brien. All right. She asked about boating on Saginaw Bay. Well, we've seen that clue before, so hopefully you remember what state that was. She said she was planning to climb Iron Mountain. She had a Cubs ticket. The Cubs are a baseball team. There you go. BBD O'Brien this time. And Saginaw tells me we're going to Michigan, back to Detroit. And because we have BBD O'Brien's warrant, we can zip on through here. So let's see if we can fast track this case. Start at the university. That's pretty good. I think that was the first stop, wasn't it? And we got all the clues we needed. Here we go. She was looking for a guide to the pine tree state. A lot of states have pine trees, so I don't know which one's the pine tree state. She wanted to visit Fort Western, built during the French and Indian War. Just because it's Fort... Remember, during the French and Indian War, which was like the 1750s, the Western U.S. was like, I don't know, like Ohio. So, so we're not going that far west. We're in Detroit. We were in Little Rock. So it's like, oh, Augusta. It must be Augusta, Maine. I have a hunch that's it. Yeah, let's go with Augusta. A lot of pine trees in Maine. Oh, the pine tree states, so we know we're right. Maine was once a part of Massachusetts, which totally boggles my mind how that worked. But yeah, the Missouri Compromise of 1820. Missouri got to enter as a so-called slaveholder state, and Maine got to enter as a free state. And that allowed the balance of politicians in Congress to remain even with regard to the issue of slavery, which is crazy to talk about in the 21st century. She was researching the geology of Crater Lake. Crater Lake is in Oregon. We're going back to Portland. Absolutely boggles my mind, that whole time in history. To the Historical Society. Isn't it clever that I always find exactly the three places that saw the crook? And that's very interesting. She asked for information about the geology of the Finger Lakes region. I have a vacation in the Finger Lakes of New York State to be specific. All right. New York's greatest natural wonder is Niagara Falls near Buffalo. More than 200,000 tons of water a minute pass over these famous falls. Never seen Niagara Falls. I have not seen those in person. They look lovely. She said she was studying the history of Russian settlements in North America. Think what state is geographically the closest to Russia? I can see Russia from my house. It's Anchorage, Alaska. That was a line that former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin once famously said when she ran for vice president. It says Mount McKinley is the highest mountain. It's now known as Denali again. Kind of the name it was before they changed it to Mount McKinley, and then they changed it back to Denali. She asked for books about the Hoosier State. Hoosier State? Indiana. Indiana was the site of the first coeducational school in the U.S. It was started at New Harmony, a utopian community founded by Robert Owen in 1825. I didn't know that. That's very interesting. She asked for a history of Boys Town. Now, I think we've seen this before. Boys Town was kind of like a Boys and Girls Club thing in the early 1900s, founded in Omaha, Nebraska. All right. Very interesting color sky as I'm recording this. Very yellow and orange out there as we approach dusk tonight. She wanted information about the location of important sugar beet refineries. I have a guess, but let's keep going. She said she planned to visit the World Museum of Mining. Okay, sugar beets and mining. She was planning to see Lewis and Clark Caverns. The only one of those that has much of a mining history in a relation to Lewis and Clark must be Helena, Montana. So we'll go there. Montana was the site of General George Custer's famous last stand against the Sioux Indians in the 1876 Battle of Little Bighorn. The Sioux won. We've reached the end. Okay. When we no longer see the vile henchman, it means that we've reached the last stop. And we're going to try to capture BBD O'Brien, who is our suspect. Here we go. Nicely done. Here is BBD O'Brien. And with that, I think we've approached the end of the video. We don't have time for another case. So while we get our congratulations from the chief, I am going to say thank you so much for watching. We're going to keep going with this series. I got a few more recordings to do before the night is up, but thank you for watching. Thanks for joining me. Hope you had a little bit of fun. Maybe you learned something. And if you're having a bad day, I hope we helped you feel a little better. Until then, this is Scotty Euclid saying thanks for watching, and bye-bye.